Good morning, and hey now, PASW staff, clients, and friends joining us. Welcome to Monday's film scoring class. If you are just joining us, this is where we look at a scene. I take out the music. You look at the scene. You think of something that fits well, and I put your score in. So you can send me a link on YouTube or Spotify, and I'll put in your music, and we'll look at the different types. And again, we've talked a lot about choosing an effective choice or the best choice. Now, best is subjective, of course, but a choice that you believe in. What about that? A choice that that we've seen that music can change the direction of a movie, change the drama, what's happening, change the acting, change the storytelling. That's how important music can be with movies. I think that's what's so exciting about movies. That's what I love about movies. I mean, I love music more, but I love that movies can use music and be the most effective tool. I think that's what is so powerful. That's why I'm sure that's why you do too. So we looked at the differences of music supervisor, which is a job in the industry where a director might want a soundtrack with different songs rather than a film composer who writes an original score for a movie, like Danny Elfman or John Williams or Philip Glass. So those are two different professions. What we're doing is music supervising for the most part, because we're not. Although some of you are coming up with your own scores, which is great. But so we talked about that last week, just for clarification. So, okay, we're going to talk about an ultra-violent movie, but I won't be showing you any of the violence, so don't worry. And a director that's worth talking about, that's living, that's made an impact on cinema, whether you like him or not. It's hard to deny his influence. Today we'll be looking at the film Reservoir Dogs. Stuck in the middle with you. Yes, I'm stuck in the middle with you. Reservoir Dogs, directed by Tarantino. So 1992. So this is his first directorial debut. He had written a few screenplays earlier, including True Romance, and sold that and got some money. But this is the first time he's a director. You probably heard Tarantino. He came out with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood just a year ago. That was, but this was way before. This movie was kind of became a cult classic. We'll talk about him a little bit, and then we're going to get to your scene. This is another walking scene, but this is a scene that's gonna. But again, you know, we'll get to it. I'm getting ahead of myself. I mean, it's too exciting sometimes. Tarantino, I mean, born in Kentucky, but raised in LA mostly. And he is part of, we've talked about New Hollywood, the New Hollywood with Scorsese and Mike Nichols and William Friedkin. We've done all those kind of, and that's different than Busby Berkeley, right? I mean, way different. So we're going along the timeline of kind of film history a little bit. Now, Tarantino comes in, and he's, again, with luck and great timing, he's creating a genre based on other genres, almost. Okay? A genre based on other genres. He comes in the 90s, and he is part of, he's not the only one, but he's part of a new wave of filmmakers. And his movies, sometimes people talk about plagiarism, and he's just a fan of movies. I think that's what's so fun about him. Unlike Scorsese, who went to NYU Film School, and other people, a lot of other directors, his film school was at a video store. So he worked he lived in the South Bay area and worked at video archives in Manhattan Beach. And that's where he got his education. So we talk about composers that go to a conservatory and get a classical education. We talk about filmmakers that go to film school and learn. And then there's people that school gets in the way. My dad used to tell me, Mark Twain's quote, "Don't let school get in the way of your education." There's a lot of truth in that. You don't want to, sometimes school or formal education can hinder creativity. I think Tarantino was, well, he was a terrible student in school. Some people are just not meant for that. He had his own creative brain going, and he learned simply by watching the masters, just like other songwriters, composers learn by listening. That's how you do it. You can go to school, but if you don't listen on your own and think of it on your own, and all of us artists rely on our own intuition and creativity when we see people we want to emulate. We want to copy them, we want to, or do better than them, or whatever it is. What gets us excited about our favorite artists. So Tarantino, that's his education. Years working in a video store, watching every single movie. Also having the encyclopedia knowledge of, an encyclopedia brain of retaining a lot of this stuff. And people call it pastiche. It's a conglomeration of different genres. So he's stealing or quoting, and we talk about artists that steal it. We're all influenced by things, whether we like it or not. We're influenced by things. Some people are more subtle with their influences. He uses different genres and incorporates Scorsese, Kung Fu, and then with pop culture references. It's very new. Like I said, if you don't love him or hate him or whatever, it's hard to deny that he hasn't had an influence on movie making. And he came around the time when, and what I love about him is that he loves the French New Wave, and we've talked about the French New Wave with Godard and Truffaut, and how they simply, instead of sitting around talking about doing a movie, just getting out and doing a movie. That's what they wanted to do, and I always admire that, because people can talk forever, but to actually do something is scary, but it's cool. So he starts writing scripts, but Reservoir Dogs is his first directorial debut. He wrote Reservoir Dogs in 3 weeks, and he was going to shoot it for $50,000 on a 16mm camera. But somehow his friend got the script to Harvey Keitel. Harvey Keitel loved the script. I mean, again, a stroke of luck. I mean, it was amazing, because when Keitel came on board, including using his own money for it, it pushed the budget to 1.2 million. So from 50,000 went to 1.2 million, and his and he's one of the main guys in it. And so Harvey Keitel was instrumental in getting this movie. That's a pretty good budget. You can do, I mean, that's still a small budget. I mean, everyone wore their own wardrobe and clothes, and it was still, that's a very small budget, but that's enough to get a movie done. And that's what they did. And I think part of this movie's strength is the cast. So it's a jewelry heist that goes terribly wrong. It's very interesting because it's one of those movies where you don't see the robbery at all. Okay, so the movie starts with them in a coffee shop talking, then the credits, then it cuts to after the heist. So you never see the heist. There's flashbacks. There's very clever editing techniques that Tarantino uses a lot. His nonlinear storytelling is one of the characteristics of his movie making. So it's almost play-like in the sense that these guys are just in this warehouse talking about what just happened. That's what's really it's not the first film to do that. People, but it's a very effective way of creating drama after something that just happened. And it's extremely violent. And that's also another hallmark of his filmmaking style. And that's probably what turns a lot of people off. But regardless, so it gets very tense. And so that's the movie's about a jewelry heist kind of gone wrong. And all these men together that don't know each other's real name. They're all hired together to do a job. And so they filmed it in 35 days. 1.2 million, makes about 2.8 million. Not a lot of money, but puts it on the map as a cult classic pretty quickly. And, by the time Pulp Fiction comes, which is his next movie, it's going to make $100 million. And that's the first indie film to gross, that kind of money. So, but in 92, what movies come out. Wayne's World comes out the same year. That's pretty iconic. I mean, everyone still knows that. The humor in it, I mean, he's in his basement doing a broadcast with Garth. I mean, that's great. That's early. This is 92. Basic Instinct is a thriller. Sharon Stone's going to do the famous scene that, yeah. And then A Few Good Men comes out. So those are pretty big movies that come out the same year as Reservoir Dogs. Nothing like it. Those are pretty polished, well, kind of polished movies. I mean, Wayne's World is kind of low budget, but I think it had quite a budget. I think it just looks like that because it's in his, basement sometimes. But Reservoir is pretty raw and gritty and very much like French New Wave, where it was, I mean, they had permits, but I mean, it was just very kind of on the cheap. So Reservoir Dogs, weird title, right? Tarantino said that there's two reasons: that he saw all these scripts that weren't developed, that weren't read, that weren't accepted yet, and he said that they were all fighting with each other to get attention. All these scripts wanted, read mine, read mine, read mine, and that they were like dogs trapped in a reservoir. And then another one is that he would mispronounce Louis Malle's film, Au revoir l'enfant, and my French is horrible, as you can tell, but that sounded, Au revoir l'enfant would sound like, oh, it sounds like you're saying Reservoir Dogs, and he's like, why don't we name it that? So, I mean, that's, so that's what it is. So there's no orchestral score in this, okay? So there's no film composer. So this is music supervision. All the budget went into making sure he could use the song Stuck in the Middle with You, Steeler's Wheel. He wanted to he wouldn't do the movie if he couldn't get that. So I don't know how much money was, and then the rest of the songs were, somehow they finagled a way to use them, including the one we're going to see for your scene. But Stuck in the Middle with You is a very famous scene in the movie that's, I was going to show it, and I just can't really cut around the violence, and I don't want to disturb anybody. So, I mean, I'm a people pleaser too, so I don't want to lose viewership. But it's a famous scene in the movie, and the song, it goes kind of well with it. But that's what it's kind of funny if you have a music budget to put all of your eggs in that one basket. You want to buy that song, you need that song. So that's kind of funny. Okay, let's I mean, gosh, we've been floating in Koreatown now, but we need to, let's go from City Hall, just because we looked at City Hall last week. And I'm really sorry about that. I mean, we got to get to where we're going to be scoring. City Hall, we're gonna go to Eagle Rock. Why do you ask Eagle Rock? Well, this is going to be the scene, the very famous scene where they're walking in slow motion, and this is the behind the bowling alley. So let's set up. This is not the very first scene of the movie. This is the second scene. The first scene is the guys at a coffee shop talking about Madonna and things that are pop culture references, and they're about to do the jewelry heist. Okay, so they don't really know each other. They get up and leave, and then this is where your scene comes in, and this is when we're going to see the credits. So they're on their way to rob this jewelry store, and this is when their life's going to change forever. So kind of scary, right? Let's take a look at the scene.
Do it my way. Outside in the night, I was
maybe you've seen it. Pretty cool. So as you can see from the film standpoint, it's in slow motion. It's got a cool style, slow motion. Little Green Bag is the song. 1969, George Baker. And what does it say? See, what they have attitudes on their face, right? Well, I mean, first, okay, let's see it without the music. So I mean, yeah, they're smiling, they're having a good time, but they look, do they look intimidating? Maybe. I mean, can the music make them look more intimidating? What kind of movie is this going to be? So this is the credits. So you're going to decide, and you're going to tell me, what are we going to see coming up? What does Tarantino want us to see with his choice of songs? It kind of, I mean, if you put dark strings to it, it could be a dramatic thriller. If you put another pop song, it could, I mean, part of Tarantino's thing is that he likes, like we talked about, mixing genres. He likes doing things that sometimes aren't traditional. So that aren't, and that's him having fun with film genres, of doing something that I'm going to put this song in that you would never think would work. So you can do whatever you want here. Is this going to be a jewelry heist, ultra-violent thriller movie that's got black humor in it? Or is it going to be a Disney movie with these guys in suits going to see Disney princesses or something? Think about it. Not the right answer, but there's better choices, right? I feel like I had more to say, but I think I said it all. I'll come back later if I have more to say, but you guys are going to do great. Get it to me by tomorrow. We'll see it Friday, and let's make it a great week, okay? Love you. Bye.